This is the epic one-on-one battle between Raizo, portrayed by Bai Rain, and his master Ozunu. In a room surrounded by flickering flames, Raizo continuously receives slashes from his master. Despite being a top assassin, he cannot match the expertise of his master, whose movements and stealth skills seem perfected. Each slash Raizo endures is accompanied by a spray of blood, the wounds covering his body causing immense pain and resentment visibly etched on his face. But why does Raizo choose to fight for survival against the one who raised and trained him? Join me as we delve into the thrilling details of the film to unveil this secret. The story begins with orphaned Raizo, at the age of 10, taken in and trained by the head of the Ozunu clan. Every day, he and his fellow disciples undergo rigorous and brutal training, bearing scars and adopting a hardened demeanor beyond their years. Raizo's life revolves around combat, marked by strict discipline and punishment for any misstep. Moving silently, Raizo learns to minimize noise, enduring lashes for any sign of fatigue. These children live within a clandestine organization of assassins, eliminating targets and settling scores between rival factions under Ozunu's leadership, who preaches self-mastery to negate pain and control their own bodies. Believing this to be the pinnacle of achievement as time passes, Raizo grows into a resilient and skilled warrior, earning his master's trust. Ozunu imparts upon him advanced assassin techniques, pushing him further each day. Notably, Raizo hones his senses to the point where he can fight without relying on sight, a pinnacle skill for ninjas. He matures emotionally as well, his heart warmed by fleeting moments of connection amidst the cold brutality of his environment. Raizo underwent a significant transformation. In a skirmish with a fellow teammate, despite having the upper hand, his leniency led to a sneak attack from his opponent, resulting in a significant facial wound. Witnessing this, Master Ozunu became furious, admonishing Raizo for his perceived weakness. Ozunu then employed a devastating technique to punish Raizo, leaving him writhing in pain on the floor. Although everyone was pained to see Raizo suffer, no one dared to come to his aid. Ozunu gave him until the next morning. If Raizo survived, he would continue his training. Raizo resiliently endured the night, earning his master's trust. From then on, Ozunu personally imparted numerous unique skills of a top assassin to Raizo, intensifying the training demands. Special exercises focused on enhancing sensory perception, enabling Raizo to fight without relying on sight. Each year, Raizo had to engage in combat and eliminate one of his teammates, showcasing the pinnacle skill of ninjas: the ability to move and defeat enemies in the darkness. Despite being blindfolded, Raizo displayed remarkable agility, swiftly defeating his adversaries with his swordsmanship. As Raizo matured into a formidable man, his emotional landscape also shifted. Amidst the harsh environment, his heart was warmed by the warmth of Kiriko's gentle smile, though he couldn't act on his love for her. One stormy night, Kiriko gathered her courage and fled, pursued by Raizo, who lacked the bravery to accompany her. Unbeknownst to them, Master Ozunu was already aware and lying in wait. In a confrontation similar to Raizo's, Kiriko's merciful nature incurred Ozunu's wrath, resulting in a cruel fate witnessed by Raizo, filled with anguish and resentment but powerless to defy his master. That fateful night, Raizo visited Kiriko imprisoned in a pitiful state, only to be captured and bound in the courtyard as punishment for Kiriko's perceived betrayal. Kiriko's cold-hearted senior thrust a dagger into her heart, ending her fragile life before Raizo's eyes, leaving him in agonizing despair. Many years later, Raizo had grown into a seasoned warrior, having completed his training. His master entrusted him with his first mission: to assassinate a foreign man wearing a golden watch, in a cramped toilet. Seizing the opportunity when the man was unaware, Raizo swiftly drew a small dagger and thrust it into the man's throat. However, to his surprise, the man proved to be formidable, not only surviving but also retaliating fiercely. He grabbed Raizo and slammed him against the toilet bowls, delivering powerful blows, causing blood to flow down Raizo's face. Despite the odds, Raizo's agility and quick thinking allowed him to mount a strong counterattack, ultimately finishing off his adversary with a decisive headbutt. On the rooftop of a building, Raizo presented himself to his master after completing the task, to demonstrate his loyalty. Ozunu demanded that Raizo personally eliminate a fleeing ninja from their organization, as punishment for desertion. This scene reminded Raizo of Kiriko's execution years ago, stirring his innate sense of righteousness once again. Instead of obeying his master's command blindly, Raizo chose to confront him. Using a chain, he attacked his master, leaving a long scar across his face, symbolically returning the injury Ozunu inflicted on Kiriko. Then, with swift and precise movements, Raizo dispatched the minions under his master's command, staining the ground with their blood. However, overwhelmed by sheer numbers, Raizo was struck by a sword through his chest, and he fell from the rooftop into a pond below, his fate uncertain. Several years later, Raizo miraculously survived and lived in hiding in a certain city. Every day, he persisted in training his body, honing his skills, and crafting weapons. Raizo had now mastered the use of all kinds of weapons, his skills reaching a level of mastery. Additionally, he quietly gathered information on the organization's activities, hoping for a chance to settle all scores. One night, while in a laundromat, a strange girl asked him to help spread out a sheet. She appeared friendly and affectionate towards Raizo, but her intentions quickly turned hostile as she unexpectedly launched a knife attack. However, Raizo, far from being an easy target, skillfully evaded her assault and swiftly counterattacked. After a brief struggle, the shop owner, alerted by the commotion, rushed out to investigate, only to find pools of blood flowing from the girl's body in the washing machine, with Raizo nowhere to be seen. After this incident, Raizo realized he had been exposed and could no longer remain passive. It was time for him to take decisive action. At the Europol headquarters, Mika, an investigator, discovered clues related to Ozunu's organization and the political atrocities associated with it through transactional data she had collected. The organization specialized in kidnapping children and sending them to a remote mountain training center to become ruthless killers. They operated in secrecy and disregarded the law, using black sand in red envelopes as a sign that someone was marked for death. These shadowy figures, adept at maneuvering in darkness, using various weapons to eliminate their targets, struck fear into their adversaries. Mika's boss, Maslow, intrigued by the case, decided to collaborate with her. One day, Maslow received information from a friend in Moscow, a report from a Cold War-era operative detailing political assassinations carried out by Ozunu's organization. Mika flew to Moscow to meet the operative, only to find out that he had been assassinated 2 years prior. His wife gave her a tape showing her husband's murder, revealing the face of a Japanese man, none other than Raizo. However, their movements were being monitored by the CIA, and Maslow warned Mika to be extremely cautious. Returning home, Mika found her house in darkness but entered nonetheless, sensing something amiss. Suddenly, a ninja emerged from the shadows, intending to kill her. Another ninja wielding an iron chain intervened, saving her. After a brief struggle, the second ninja managed to kill the attacker, revealing himself to be Raizo. It turned out that Raizo had been warned by a secret informant about Mika being the next target of the organization. Sharing a common goal, Raizo and Mika decided to cooperate. They arrived at the meeting point with Maslow, but Raizo sensed something amiss. Before he could react, floodlights illuminated him, and a special forces unit approached, incapacitating him with electric shocks. Back at headquarters, Maslow tried to explain to Mika that their actions were dictated by higher powers, and he had no choice but to comply. He gave her a small device, instructing her to activate it if she was in danger, promising to come to her rescue. Mika reassured Raizo, but he understood Ozunu too well. He told Mika it was too late, as the organization's assassins would eliminate the base. Rushing back to report, Mika found few willing to believe her. Suddenly, the power went out, and the shadowy assassins arrived, silently dispatching the personnel. In the chaos, Mika managed to grab a key from a fallen police officer and free Raizo. Outside, the scene resembled a battlefield. Raizo quickly guided Mika to a parking lot, sensing danger. He urged her into a car while he prepared to face the assassins alone. Armed with an iron chain, Raizo encountered a former fellow student who had killed Kiriko. Fueled by rage, Raizo fought fiercely against the assassins, swiftly dispatching them one by one with precise and lethal strikes. With each swing of his chain or slash of his sword, blood spilled and bodies fell, until the threat was neutralized. Returning to Mika's perspective, she waited in the car for Raizo, but was suddenly attacked by an assassin. With quick thinking, she used her gun to shatter the assailant's leg, then without waiting for Raizo, she drove away. Meanwhile, Raizo, though valiant, was exhausted and faced overwhelming odds with numerous ninja closing in. Determined to escape, he made the split-second decision to leap out of a window, running alone on the deserted streets with a horde of pursuers behind him. However, he was struck by a car and lay in the middle of the road, about to fall into the hands of his pursuers. In a critical moment, Mika appeared and rushed Raizo into a nearby hotel. His injuries were severe, rendering him unconscious. Grateful for Raizo's earlier rescue, Mika gave him a kiss before activating the device given by their boss, Maslow. In an instant, they were located by their pursuers, but only Mika remained when they arrived. Raizo had been taken by the organization. Raizo found himself bound in the old training ground, flooded with memories. Ozunu, the elderly leader, wanted to eliminate him to restore honor to the organization. Using his infamous technique, Raizo endured excruciating pain from the pressure point strikes, but Ozunu inadvertently dislodged a tracking device from Raizo's body. It was too late for him to comprehend the situation. The military, equipped to the teeth with elite forces, surrounded Ozunu's compound to eradicate his organization. Amidst the hail of bullets and rockets, even the flying assassins couldn't escape. Ozunu's base was engulfed in flames. Supported by Maslow, Mika successfully rescued Raizo. However, Raizo sought true freedom. Armed with 2 swords, he stormed back into the fray, challenging his adversaries to a fight to the death. With strength and determination, Raizo swiftly dispatched those who were once his comrades, then confronted the senior disciple who killed Kiriko. Fueled by hatred and superior skills, Raizo swiftly used the iron chain to sever his opponent's neck, sending him to meet Kiriko. Finally, moment of life and death arrived as Raizo faced off against the one who created him. Despite his age, Ozunu's prowess remained undiminished, completely dominating Raizo, who was already covered in wounds. Ozunu attacked with agility and ferocity, landing blows that seemed to be toying with Raizo, wanting to show him who the true master was. However, fueled by rage and hatred, Raizo mustered all his remaining strength to counterattack. He stunned Ozunu with a blow to the head, then used Ozunu's own deadly technique to grievously wound him. Even replicating Ozunu's stealth technique perfectly, Raizo still couldn't finish him off and was knocked down. As Ozunu prepared to deliver the final blow, Mika shot him in the shoulder, enraging him to the point where he attempted to fatally stab her. This unleashed a frenzy in Raizo, who, using his own teleportation ability, launched a frenzied attack on Ozunu, severing his hand and ultimately ending him with a cold sword strike. The battle was over, and Raizo had achieved his freedom. He returned to find Mika lying on the ground, seemingly lifeless. However, to everyone's surprise, her heart was on the right side, allowing her to evade a fatal wound earlier, make Raizo and Maslow feel relieved. In the final scenes, Raizo climbed a tall mountain cliff, where he and Kiriko had once promised to meet. Looking at the earth, the sky, and the clouds, he felt indescribable emotions. He realized that he had finally found his freedom, living true to his nature, returning to being a real human being. The movie ended here, and if you enjoyed it, please give me a like and subscribe for more. See you in the next videos.